Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'd love it if you hit subscribe, the notifications and the like button, and also leave a comment. Now, I'm back again doing a fantastic YouTube hop with a wonderful group of different creatives, and we've all got the same theme, and the theme is summer vibes. And what we're going to be doing is showing you lots of different ways how we think that can be interpreted. So it gives you, the crafter, lots of different choices. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start making a background. And I've got my inks together. I'm just going to get my stamps together and I'll just be back shortly using a very dirty block, so forgive me. Now I'm using these layering stamps from Dolly Dimples, and they're wonderful stamps that we can create some really cool backgrounds with. And I'm just going to start with just the plain circle at the moment, and I want to build up my background. And because it's summer vibes, I want to go for nice warm colours to begin with. And I thought I'm just going to use my oxides. And I'm going to start off with mustard seed on the top there, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of the picked raspberry on the bottom part. And I'm not putting full coverage on because I quite like where the ink pad adds that little bit of extra texture and detail to it. So just got that there. I'm just going to give it a quick spritz, which I'll probably do off camera. There we go. And that's just allowing the oxides to activate in places but still stay the same in others. I just want this as my starting point, my grounding point, my location point. And I'm just going to put this out. I'm working on a piece of Indian cotton paper. My Tina Wakely journal has finally fallen apart because it's got too big, and I still wanted to use all the bits of paper up on it. So I've just taken the sheets that have fallen out and I'm going to start using them and then stick them into another journal, because they're too good to waste. It's too good to waste. So we're just going to put that on there and just let it do its magic. Okay, so I've got the starting point there. I'm just going to quickly clean my stamp off so I can do some extra layers on top of it. Right, so I've got the background there, and I just want to do a few extra layers now on top of this and just bring in a few little bit of stamps details. And that's why I've got it actually on the block itself, so I can add in a little bit more or a little bit less of what I want to do. I'm going to take a little bit of the salvaged patina, and all I want to do with that is just go a little bit around the edge, not to frame the whole circle, but just to bring in a little touch of another colour. And I'm just going to spritz a little bit. I don't want too much of it, but I do want some of it to be wetter than the other part. And because I've got this now on my block, I can just overlay the two, and where the wetter bits now will merge in with the other colours, so I should get a nice new range of colours to work with. So I've got that now building on as my actual background. So I'm just going to clean my stamp and dry this off, and I'll be back. Okay, that's dry, and what I want to do is I just want to build up the scenes, and I'm going to use the other layering stamps that are in the same sets and just start bringing in a little bit of extra colour. I'm going to stick to the same sort of colour palette because I just think it'd be nice to do so. Right, I'm not inking my stamp up fully. I quite like the idea that I'm going to let the water fill in the gaps, and I just want to add in some other elements, to the design, sticking to the similar colours we've got. Right, I've added a little bit more stamp detail. I'm going to dry it off again and come back in and just add a little bit of stenciling. I'm drying off rather than letting it dry naturally for speed. So I'm just going to go and do that off camera, and once it's dry I'll be back to do the next part. Okay, I've got the next part going. I think I'm going to go with stencil next rather than stamping, and I'm using the Moroccan Trellis, which is a Shady Designs stencil, and I'm going to stick to where I've got a little bit of my detail already, and I'm going to use slightly lighter colours on here and just pick up some of the pattern in places. Okay, so that's my stenciling done, and I wanted it to be quite subtle and in the colour, so I'm trying to keep to the same colour family and just build my layers up using those. Okay, as I said, I'm going to bring in a little bit of extra stamping, and I'm using the Shady Designs texture stamps because I just want to break up one or two of the elements, but I just think it needs something else in places. So we're just going to add in some different design elements. Right, I'm just going to go back over with another stamp now, just to add a little bit more detail. And I'm obviously keeping to a very circular pattern, and I think that's going to show itself once I show you the stamps I actually want to use. You know, that, or the image stamp that I want to use. So I'm just bringing in a very faint little bit of detail. And now I'm just putting some little incidental stamps in place. And then I'm going to dry the background off, and we'll get ready to play with the image that I think would fit, or does fit, with the summer vibes sort of theme. As I said, I'm not going for perfectly stamped images, totally inked up. I'm just going so they just look like they fall into the background in places. Right, I just want to bring in one last little bit of stamping, and then I'm going to put my background to one side and let it dry a little bit more naturally rather than with a heat gun. And this time I'm using a splatter stamp, again from the Shady Designs Texture, but I've gone for a frayed burlap colour because I just want something in places to be a little bit darker. And a bit more of a contrast, I suppose. There we go. And that is going to be my background to work upon. So I'm going to put everything away and bring in the next part of my project. Okay, now the stamp set I'm going to be using is from Dolly Dimples too, and it's from their Divas range. And I'm going to be using Janis. There's, I think, 6 images all in all. I can't quite remember, but all with that 70s sort of vibe, and I thought it went well with my background. So if I bring the background in, I just thought she went really, really well having that summer tripped out look, for want of a better expression. So I've stamped her out, and I've stamped out some of the other elements from the same stamp sheet, so the guitars and the flowers. But there are some other detail bits in here that once we've got everything done, I might just add a little touch of those in there. And then also we've got from the Suzi set, I've got the hands, which I quite like the idea of using. And we've got the piece to stamp out and some extra flowers. But I'm going to focus on these images first. So I'm going to go and cut them out before I start colouring them, and then I'm going to colour with alcohol markers, hence stamping with Memento ink. Right, I've cut all my images out, and what I want to do is just work out roughly where I want to place things. So even though I've got the pink here, because of the type of design I've got, I could actually just even swap it around so it went this way, and bring in all the different pieces that I want to do. I think I'm still going to keep it so it's vertical. So we've got Janis sitting there, and then I've got my flowers, and I'm going to build up around. I've got my guitars, which I can add in as my different focal points, and then I can see, once I've got different elements stuck down, whether I need to stamp up a few more images, add a little bit more detail in place, and the sort of sentiment I actually want to have on my art journal page. So I'm going to go and grab my alcohol markers, and we can then start up colouring these images. Right, that's what I would say my first layer of colouring is. I might go in with some gel pens or some glazes, just add some more, and the same with the detail on her clothes. But that's just got my base layers down, and the extra faffing bit I can add to it. So this is my background, and I'm going to have her standing there beautifully, and we can bring in some of the flowers, and I'm just going to build that up a little bit more with the flowers. And I've got my guitars sitting there. And we can have another guitar just hanging down there. So that's going to be the basic composition for my like summer vibe feel. Now, what I will do now is I've decided whilst I was colouring, I was having a look. So, excuse the thingy, I'm going to, I think, stamp out the piece, and I'm going to do a couple of the hands and maybe a couple of the flowers. But what I also found was on another little of the Stevie stamp sets, she says, I'm thinking it's this one. Is it this one? No, possibly not this one. Is it one of these? Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm faffing now. It's not Janis, so it's got, is it on Suzi? Oh, do you know, I did see it, and I am determined now to find it. Ah, there it is, it's on Dusty. And it's got this beautiful little cassette player radio. So I think I'm going to stamp out a couple of those just to go with the summer vibe that little bit more. And what I'll do is I'll stamp them out. Sorry, I'm playing with the stamp set. I'll stamp them out and colour them up, and then we can come together to actually do the final composition piece. Right, I've stamped up those extra images that I wanted, and they were the little cassettes and the hands. So I've done a few of those and a few extra flowers. And like I said, I've kept everything the same sort of colours. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to start layering up my composition and putting my pieces together. Now, the one thing I haven't done is stamped up my word, because I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that or a sentiment I've already got. So I'm going to move everything out of the way, and I'm going to take her because she looks just so beautiful. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of glue on her just to position her, because then I can tuck extra elements behind. So let's have her just a little bit taller. So now I can tuck extra bits behind if that's what I want to do. And I'm going to add start by adding some of the flowers in place. go. We've got that there. Let's put you in the bin before I think. So I've got my composition, and I'm quite happy that, and I think it's got a real summer vibe to it. Now I'm just going to go and choose a sentiment and add that to it. Right, I've chosen a sentiment, and this is from a Dolly Dimples paper kit, which was linked to the Serenity Sisters launch. And I'm going to put that there. And I love the May All Your Vibes Say I Got This, because we've got lots of, and it's obviously the challenge is summer vibes, so we've got that there, and with the little bits of music and everything like that, I think it's got a real vibe to it. Let's move my glue. And then I just want to do a little bit of extra stamping in place just to tie some of the different elements in. Sorry, my page went off skew-if. And I'm going to leave it there now. It is one of those sort of things that when I come to stick it into my journal and I probably put an edging to it or something like that, I might change something or add something to it. But at the moment, I'm quite enjoying it looking like this. So this, as you can see, okay, it's layered up. This is my interpretation of the theme for this month, Some Vibes. I'll list all the products I've used down below, but more importantly, I'll also list all the other creatives that are in the YouTube hop this time round. Please, if you've got the chance, take the time to visit everybody, like and subscribe to their channels, because there's going to be a real whole host of different inspiration using a completely different mix of products. Until next time, thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care.